I think one of my mentors, she always says that leadership is defined as opening doors for others who couldn't otherwise open it for themselves. And advocacy incorporates all aspects of leadership, right? We're using our voice, we're using our platform, we're using our intelligence, we're using our resources to lobby or to push for some particular agenda or something that falls within the confines of respect for humanity. Every system, we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about the legal system. We do it through technology and health and wellness and just higher ed. And it's seeing a gap in the community and filling that, but we're doing it through education-based programming. There's a lot of disparities. I think one of the major issues that I see in my work is pure exhaustion. Families aren't spending quality time together. Families aren't dining together. We're not maneuvering in community for the simple fact that we're just tired.
The harder you grind, the bigger you dream.
The harder you grind,
The bigger you dream.
Hey,
The harder you grind,
the bigger you dream.
Whoa, whoa.
The harder you grind,
The bigger you dream.
The harder
you grind, the bigger you dream.
Let's get it, let's go. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said you're up and I'm up. You're now tuned in to the Grind Hard Dream Big Show. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I got a special guest in the building. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hey everybody, my name is Kaala Evans. I am a change maker. I'm here today to talk about legacy, family, community, all built and centered around integrity. Thanks for having me today, Jay.
For sure. So for the people that don't know, like your upbringing, like where you were born, where you were raised, like hobbies like that.
Sure. Let's take it back so we can bring it back forward, right? I'm a native Annapolitan, Annapolis through and through. Actually grew up in Northern Virginia, in the Vern, and for those of y'all who know a little something about Northern Virginia, but I'm definitely a DMV girl. Grew up in Northern Virginia in the Vern, and then came back to Prince George's County a little bit over a decade ago, and that's kind of where we've planted our roots, I'd say, as far as my immediate family is concerned and extended family, and that's where kind of the work has been continuing from there.
For sure. So like, did you have any like hobbies or things you were interested in, like, you know, throughout like the childhood, like things that you were like, oh, I might try this, or oh, I might try that? Like,
yeah, our family was always really big into music and skills building and early training and development. So my father made sure that both of my parents, all of us had to play at least two instruments. We had to play the piano, and then from there we could pick one other instrument. Mine was violin at the time, which I need to pick back up, to be honest with you. But I was a pianist. I also was a competitive figure skater. So it's kind of a little bit different trajectory. My parents were really big on us exploring a diverse range of different sports, but always tying it back into discipline. But we were always just together, rocking as a family. You know, kids, we'd be outside, we were riding our bikes, you know, doing our thing in and around the community. But yeah, music was definitely a focus for us growing up.
For sure. I think music was a focus for a lot of people, or that just like back when music was music type of thing, right, too. So it's just like, all right, cool. Like, you know, if you knew, you knew, where it was like there's a difference between the music back then, obviously, and the music now, and everything like that. And like when it came to hobbies, it sounded like discipline was established at an early time. Absolutely. So that's definitely dope. So as you kind of like segued into, you know, like high school and, you know, did you have like a favorite class that you like taking, or?
I'd probably say, so early on we went to private school, and it was a liberal arts school. So one of the things that everybody had to tap into different ranges of academia and pick a liberal art to focus on. And mine was speech, public speaking. We had to learn these long monologues and then perform them in school, but then we also had to compete on a local and a state level in the speech execution. So that was kind of my jam. I did well in the first round, I think my first, maybe fourth grade, I'd say, and just kind of kept going from there. Ended up competing and winning some state championships and whatnot in that space. So I think that was kind of like the bread and butter and the fundamentals that kind of propelled me into what was to come in college and then post-grad, of course.
That's fire. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I wish I picked up public speaking back then. I took it in high school, but it was like, all right, cool. Like, that's something that, you know, like stuck with you throughout. And I think that that's definitely dope because sparking an interest or at least finding something early allows you to imagine, it allows you to dream, and it allows you to inspire and really like go after it. So for you to find it and then actually like compete and then, you know, fall in love with it even more and more, to now seeing it today in real time, it just shows like the level of grit, the level of discipline, and the level of focus. So definitely, that's dope.
It came from, my dad was a military man. And, you know, discipline was just part of the game. You know, it was just part of life. You came home, you did your chores, you practiced your instruments, and you got to it. And there really was no lower standard than that. So I definitely carry that on with the younger generation, I'd say.
For sure, for sure. So as we kind of like transition from that, now we're like adulthood. We're like, oh, okay. What was that moment where you were like, I'm an adult? Like, nah, I'm not a kid anymore. You know, it ain't no time for like hide and seek. You know, it ain't time for, you know, tag your it. But hey, now like tag your it as an adult. So like, what was that moment for you as an adult?
Probably undergrad.
Okay.
Once I went to school, I'm an alumni of George Mason University.
Okay.
Shout out the Black Alumni Chapter. I'm on the board of directors there. But once I went to school, especially in a diverse setting like that, it is a PWI. It represented at the time, I think it was 30 or 40 different countries at the time. That was a big playing field for me because I had to pay for school myself. You know, it was 100% independent endeavor to where I had to really just figure out, okay, what is this? What am I doing? What do I like? What's my skill set? You know, how do I apply my talents to my education? And, you know, as much as I think universities have these services and resources for you to try to figure that thing out, at the end of the day, you got to figure it out. You know, it really is tapping inside of you. And at that young age, especially undergrad, I don't know if we're necessarily given those tools. At least I wasn't back then, you know. And that kind of translates into some of the work that we're working on. But I think once I got to school, I said, okay, this is real. Like, I gotta, we gotta do this thing now.
Yeah,
like,
you really do.
Yeah,
you really do. And I think that, you know, it's fair to say, like, once you decide and realize, you know, like, for people that don't know, I want to let people know, like, college is a business. Now, I mean, like, you go in there, you got to know exactly what you're going to school to do.
Right.
What degree, what program, what have you. Do your time, take those credits, don't short any of those, and make sure that you get that degree. Right. You know, so like operating in that, and it's like, yeah, it's on you, because guess what? If you fail the class, you got to pay for it again and do that. You know,
exactly. And paying out of pocket in school, you realize that pretty early on.
Yeah.
But I went in as an engineering major, that didn't work out. Ended up switching to public health later, and honestly, just to kind of just get the piece of paper. Ended up not really working in public health, but I'd say, you know, going to school and figuring that thing out, I think that's something that most people, at least from our generation, definitely, you know, tapped in at that particular time.
For sure. I definitely think it's important to know what you know, like I said, want to go to school for. Like, I went to school for broadcast journalism. My ambition and, you know, hobbies was watching sports all the time, like football, basketball, like boxing. I would tell you the teams, the players, you know, the particular fights, you know, watching stuff like that. But then it's like, oh, wow, like being that, but now it's like transitioning and still being able to use it. So I'm grateful through God's grace to be able to still use it and do it in this magnitude, in this setting. And it's like, okay, but it still can follow you through the classes that you take and the things that you learn.
That's right.
Of course, you know, along the way. So when did you find like purpose? And I know that purpose is like such a heavy word sometimes, but like, when did you find like, all right, this is the specific thing that I want to do, And if it's not me, then who?
Okay, good question. I think I found my purpose when I became a mom.
Okay.
My shorty's sitting right over here, my oldest. I got pregnant with her in undergrad, 4th year. And that's when, things got real. It's like, oh, okay. Okay, it's not just me anymore. It's like there's a whole nother human being that I'm responsible for in the physical sense, in the mental sense, in the provision sense. There's a lot of unknowns at the time, a lot of transitions. And my family was largely supportive at the same time. The onus is on me. You're an adult now.
Yeah.
Things are different when you got a whole nother human being that, is spiritually and, you're responsible for every aspect of their well-being. And that's when you got to get serious. It's like, okay, yeah, we're having a good time. We're doing the things and, we're doing all these things, but what is this actually connected back to? So I think once she came into the picture, everything changed.
Yeah, and salute to that. I think, like even, like doing this, like motherhood, and then you're working and then you're doing all of these things. It's like so many hats, so many responsibilities. But I think that you are in a space where you embrace it all and know that, legacy, right,
Yeah.
is so vital and important. And you're like, okay, now I kind of see that. So now that you've identified the purpose, and I guess like this call to action now, how has, the work that you've done, like how has that like impacted, throughout the years?
I'd say early on, I wasn't working on anybody but myself, right? It was survival, right? It wasn't really a focus on what the global or the community impact was. It was like, yo, let me just make sure me and mine are straight. And that takes a minute. That takes a while. I was in my early 20s. I was straight out of school. I didn't know what I was going to do. I think my first job came out making like, 30K, started from the bottom, type of thing, just starting and building with the support of my family. But my father and my mother, the conversation was always surrounding the family. Like the family unit is the foundation of everything. The mantra was the family loves, cares for, and respects one another. And no matter what, as the unit, this is how we're going to operate. My father was a man of vision. He was a man of communication. I said he was an Army man, but he was also a man of God. And he was very vocal about what his vision was for our family. So in him, leading and guiding me and coaching me early on as a parent, it made me ask those tough questions and kind of look introspectively and then reach out to try to understand, okay, what does this actually look like for me? What is true legacy? And I think once that part kind of clicked, I said, okay, my legacy isn't just a conversation anymore. She's actually here. It's time to put things into gear. And I think that's kind of what led us to where we are now.
For sure. I think that that's definitely important too, when you just sat there and said that. It feels like the foundation was already built early.
Yeah.
And it was already like, okay, this is an installation. This is what it looks like. So you had, your pieces and what you can go to. And it's like, okay, the iron sharpens the iron.
That's right.
And you're able to, continue to kind of like already see the blueprint, add on to yours, and then lay it down. So that way it's like, okay, now future generations understand what is going on in the retrospect of like everything. So I think that that's definitely dope. So as you're like navigating and like networking through the space, like what are some of the things when we talk about advocacy for one? I think advocacy is like something that's so heavy, it's something that's so broad, right? But then I think within community and community outreach, when we're looking at that, one, how will we define advocacy? And then what are some of the issues and hurdles that, we see in today's time?
Ooh, big question. Advocacy has multiple layers, like you said. It's a big word. It can involve so many different things. But I think one of my mentors, she always says that leadership is defined as opening doors for others who couldn't otherwise open it for themselves. And advocacy incorporates all aspects of leadership, right? We're using our voice, we're using our platform, we're using our intelligence, we're using our resources to lobby or to push for some particular agenda or something that falls within the confines of respect for humanity. That's what I see it as. And I think, you're a living testament to this.
I appreciate that.
We're a voice, we're a mouthpiece for those who don't necessarily have the voice. They don't have the seats at the tables that we're necessarily sitting at. But it's saying, okay, I have this position, I have this influence, I have this connection. I'm going to use it for the sake of the greater good. And once I think you establish that that's what you want to do, and it's aligned with your purpose, and God says this is what you're going to do, I don't think we really have a choice but to do what we're being called to do.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Like, I didn't think that, like, I looked at it like, all right, July 5th, 2020, started doing motivational videos.
Mm-hmm.
November 6th, 2020, shout out to my guy, Vegan Steven. He was like, yeah, man, you need a podcast. Like, I think that your motivational videos are short, but I think that you need to have more and more conversations. I'm like, all right, cool. Hopped in the studio, did it, no script, everything like that, moved forward. And one episode led to another, and we just started, like doing the events. But the start of it was the podcast and having the conversations. And the reason why I started the podcast is because when I watched the news, I didn't see myself in it.
Ooh.
I didn't see the positive stories. You always heard the, the gun violence or, the trauma, like the TV. When you were watching the news, whether it be channel 4, 5, 7, or 9, it was like they always led with the same story.
Yeah, calamity first.
Right. So they always led with that. And it's like, okay, if I can sell you this, where's negativity, and I can, kind of like get you to think all over the place and operate in fear per se, who's going to highlight positivity? Right. Who's going to highlight, the dope things around that have, molded, or hey, these are great people that are doing great things in the community, and they just so happen to live in your state or in your city or even in your district, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know. So I think it's more so bringing that awareness and realizing, okay, like you said, being a voice for the voiceless, and that's where it's just like, hey, God, like, this is what you're doing. I don't care how, if it look imperfect, if it looks like whatever you have something to say, this is what I've gift you to do. Right. And I embraced it because I'm like, even going through certain rooms, I'm like, how'd I get here? God, like, you supposed to have been here. Like, you ain't know that. I just need you to get about that obstacle and just being like, you can. So it's like everything has been on go and everything networking, building, but having these courageous conversations, but not only courageous per se, I would just say like needed conversations that can also help others.
Absolutely.
From a selfless standpoint, not a selfish one.
Absolutely. I think it really starts with us, right? Before you look at the accolades or the credentials or even the tables that we're sitting at, it's do you know what's within you, right? Push the fear to the side. I am courageous and bold enough, and I know that I have the gifts and I have the boldness within me that God has instilled in me to bring that to the forefront, to bring it to the community for the sake of the greater good. And then when you connect with others who are powerhouses in the same space, that's where the change really comes into play. That's when we can start really talking about community.
Right. Yeah. So like, how do we define that? I'm glad that you sat there and said that, because I think community, of course, we have healthy and then of course we have unhealthy, but like, how would we define, community in the retrospect, and like, what does that mean to you?
I think it's a really simple concept. I think sometimes we kind of overcomplicate it, but community to me is just a group of people. Like, we're together in whatever aspect that looks like, whether it's I'm in the tech space, whether it's the tech work, whether it's in church, whether it's your neighbor, we are in fellowship one with another. We have some type of common goal or common trait or, commonality in mind. We just come together as a group and we are moving forward in unity. I was about to sing it.
Yeah. Queen Latifah, that's the hit right there. You know what I'm saying? I think that's well said. I think that it is that, everybody working towards a common goal, regardless if, you are at the gym, you got a community of people that's working out. You know what I mean? You got a community of people that, are advocating or, like you said, in the church or, these group of people that are coming together and, trying to accomplish something and, help each other along the way. I think that that's the best part. So when we're talking about, where we're at, particularly now, and, of course, in Maryland, Prince George's County, the whole DMV and things like that, in our communities, what are some of the things you feel are like questionable, not necessarily questionable, but like we need more of? Because I think that every community may be different, and every opportunity may be provided for one community but not the next. So like, how do we kind of like gauge that?
Ooh, there's so many things. We're heavy in the education space.
Right.
My nonprofit, Haps House, I know we're going to get to that at some point, but Haps House is birthed out of a vision of building community by building families first. So the entire premise behind Haps House is educating the family in systems that we're immersed in a way to where otherwise you don't know. Every system, we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about the legal system. We do it through technology and health and wellness and just higher ed. And it's seeing a gap in the community and filling that, but we're doing it through education-based programming. There's a lot of disparities. I think one of the major issues that I see in my work is pure exhaustion. Families aren't spending quality time together. Families aren't dining together. We're not maneuvering in community for the simple fact that we're just tired. We're tired. Parents are working 2 and 3 jobs. One parent gets off work, other one's just getting off, whatever your family unit looks like. We have a lot of grandparents in the space now, multiple generations living in the same home. We have individuals who are literally just trying to survive. And amidst that survival, other things can't be focused on. You don't really have a whole lot of capacity at 7:00 at night to cook a balanced meal for your kids when you just worked a 9-hour shift and spent 2 hours in traffic each way. And then that perpetuates. And then, the children turn to their devices, they turn to each other, they turn to the internet because they're not having that human connection. So it's very layered. There's so many different systems that we're immersed in. They're complex for a reason. They're hard to understand. And it's just this vicious cycle that isn't putting us in the position to really grow together and understand and grow as families and communities. So that was kind of a long answer to your question.
No,
but
that's good. That's a great answer.
That's one of the things. But I try to look at things systemically. It's like, what is the root cause here? Like, why is everything spiraling out of control? Why are the kids out in the street, but we got to put a curfew on them? You know what I mean? And, you hear politicians say things like they're supposed to be at home. And it's like, well, maybe they don't want to be at home. There's a reason they're not at home. The parent's not even home. So it's so many different things. But I think it comes back to education. It comes back to availability. It comes back to capability. But it also comes back to health.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think all of those points are extremely valid. And, we're, even working, in the space and you're, like I said, seeing it, we talk about, of course, like the curfews, that's been like the popular thing. It's always been like that, around the springtime, the summertime, okay, the curfew, the kids are out, they're hanging out and it's like, yo, these kids need to be doing something. But at the same time, it's like, okay, do we understand their household? Do we understand their metric? Do we understand their range? Do we really even try to get to a space where we can understand them? Right. Really, do they have places that, they deem, safe and things like that, or, what is it that they're interested in? We can't just make the assumption and be like, okay, for me, it was like this. And for you, it's got to be like that too.
Right.
I think that it's more so providing that, opportunity, that space and things like that. So even with, myself and doing like the teen leadership program and being able to, one, not only gauge the parents, but gauge the teens as well, it allowed us to create something where it was like, okay, cool, you want to learn about mental health? Cool. You want to learn about social media? Cool. You want to learn about public speaking? Cool. Money management, entrepreneurship, business, creative expression, film, photography, podcasting, all of these things. This was more so like a jumpstart into just career exploration for you to just kind of like gauge, to start thinking, to start imagining, no matter your circumstance and where you were at, you know. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing. I'm seeing it like, you know, it's a day-to-day survival type of thing. But at the same time, like, we still want kids to, you know, grind hard. We want them to, you know, dream big and keep hold of their imagination, because as you get older, it's hard to hold on to your imagination.
It gets sucked out of you.
Yeah, it's hard to hold on to your imagination. So it's like being able to still imagine, still being able to dream, still being able to do these great things is that, you know, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. That's why I love your platform so much, is because I think now as an adult, I dream really big. Sometimes my dreams are like, yo, you know, there's really I have a global mindset now. A lot of that's because I've traveled literally all over the world. But that's one of the things I try to instill in my children and with others that I deal with, not just young people, you know, even adults.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we were ever taught how to dream. It was always, you know, within the confines of money. I chatted with a student yesterday at this nonprofit event, and she said she wanted to go to a particular school out of state. She was like, that's really mine. She mentioned one school that was local. And then she mentioned, like, well, my dream school is really out of state. And I was like, well, why didn't you lead with that? She was like, well, I don't know if my parents can afford it and woo, woo, woo. And I think we have to get out of this mindset that our decision making should be predicated on availability of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I think that our dreams, when we dream these big dreams, I don't ever think about where the money's going to come from.
Right.
You know, if God gave me this gift or this dream or this vision, God must be providing the resources for it to come to fruition.
Right.
So that's one of the things I try to get, you know, my folks to realize and understand, is that, you know, your dream is bigger than the confines of whatever your circumstances are. This is temporary.
Yeah.
You can really do anything.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I had to tell myself, like, even early on, like, okay, you just think of neighborhood. You just think in city.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, God, like, okay, watch this. Exactly. It's like, wait, okay, you got this. Wait, hold up. Over here now? It's like, yeah, because guess what? As you continue to be a faithful steward of everything, God will expand the territory.
Amen.
So it's like, all right, cool. So that's what I realized. So it's like, okay, it's not only, you know, PG County, then, you know, Montgomery
DMV.
County.
It's not even states.
It's not even that. It's beyond that. It's the local, then global type of mindset, like you're saying. And that's what I realized. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, yeah, because you got to think about the problems that you are solving and people that you're connecting with. This is not just a city or neighborhood issue.
Right.
It's going on everywhere in the world. It's just that you're serving a pocket in a way that is different, and your voice, you know, like, you don't even know the audience I had you on. Exactly. Like, I just knew that you was just go ahead and speak. Amen. So you can sit there and go ahead and speak to a lot of people and help a lot of people. But once again, it's just like your gift and how they gravitate towards you may be different. And I realized that, you know, at a few events, but specifically there was an event March? Yeah, it was March the 7th that just passed. I was speaking at Catholic University.
Nice.
It was at a youth conference, basically. And I was like the third speaker there. And throughout the whole entire time, I'm hearing other, you know, speakers and things like that. And I had told myself, like, that morning, like, regardless of what it is, it's like, God is like, yo, share what I have done in you and be transparent, and you see how it goes. Like, I'm going to continue to blow your mind. And that's exactly what happened. Like, I was able to share my struggles and realize, like, whoa, like, yeah, you know, my favorite class was reading, and I love reading in English, but I hated geometry. Then all the kids in the room was like, you too, bruh? I didn't know that. This, that, and the third. It's like, yeah, I didn't like it. But I had told the kids, like, and the parents too, was like, the reason why I didn't like geometry is because I was stuck on my own angle of life. And they were like, oh, that's good. And I'm like, but it was just for them to understand that formulas that were given to you, the instructor is just as important as the formula that's given. Ooh. So my thing about it was, like, applying that formula and realizing that you still have the capability to solve problems. So geometry didn't teach me about like the 3.14 pi radius squared, all that stuff, which was like
Pythagorean theorem,
all that stuff, right? But it's like what? But I think the bigger goal for me was just like being able to solve problems and then apply those formulas, and then realizing, okay, in life you have to still develop your own formula and not be afraid to solve problems, because people will pay you to solve problems, but then it's also like not what you want to be when you grow up. It's like, what problem are you willing to solve? Like,
that's right.
God has designed us to do something specific. And whatever that specific thing is, do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I think being solution oriented and having the capability to not only be a visionary, but to also be an executionary in a space where you see a problem that needs to be solved or a gap that needs to be closed, that's leadership.
Yeah.
And to do that with grace, to do that with intellect, and to do it with patience is, I don't want to say it's rare, but it's rare, especially in the spaces that we're in. I'm not sure that, I don't know how political you want to go, but I'm not sure that at this present time, no, I'll just say it. I'm not sure that I'm seeing a lot of leaders that are smart. I'm not seeing a lot of leaders that move in integrity. And I'm not seeing a lot of leaders that are leading to serve. A lot of it's very self-serving. We're seeing that in the federal government, but we're seeing that in local government as well. And it's really time, and I'm going to give my civic plug, because we're both very big on civic engagement and education. Sure. This is the time, look in the camera. This is the time y'all got to get out and vote. Okay? The primaries are here. They're in June. I know in PG County it's June 23rd, but it's time for us to stop complaining, talking about, the future, the older generation, they won't let us come in. It's like, no, y'all aren't doing anything. Our voter turnout was like 12%, I think, in the county the last go round. And it's time for us to step up, stop complaining about the problem. It's time for those who are called to lead, and to do it in integrity first. We have to be the ones to shape what our future looks like for ourselves and for the future generations. But now is the time. It's not time to be sitting back anymore. That time is over. It's go time. Every day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I had told myself that too. I was just like, as I continue to like podcast and do, the outreach, I was just getting familiar. And then I remember like just going to like a town hall, and one of my friends was like, you gonna be back? And just sit there and hear, and just sit there and sit back and observe. And when it's your time to speak, your spreadsheet's just gonna get longer and longer and longer. It's gonna be like, well, I ain't know about this guy. Or what is he? But I think that the biggest thing, is the whole, like, how can everybody kind of like work, not necessarily in ISOs, but it's like this togetherness where we know that education is definitely important. We know that opportunities and exposure is definitely important.
Absolutely.
We know that, programs, funding, and all of these other things have been, like larger issues, but it's more so like, how are we able to like correlate it? And I think that it has been a generational disconnect. And I read a book called iGen, and it was by all I know is it's a red book. Okay. But fault me for not knowing the author. But she has a PhD. That's all. I do know that. But what I will say is, in this book, it was breaking down the generations, and in this particular generation, I believe it's Gen Alpha, Gen Alpha. Yeah. That they're growing up less rebellious or like eager to learn. However, when it comes to like the work ethic and this technology and the shift from, the social media, the YouTube, the Instagram, the TikTok, how everything is so microwavable that they can't digest soul food. And it's like, whoa, that's another lens or perspective that I can actually think of, because I'm looking at it now where it's like, I do see our young people that are eager to learn. I do see our young people that want to lead. I just think that the guidance and the mentorship is more necessary than ever. in their particular space because they want to know how to do it, who's
Right.
going to help me, and if I can get from point A to point B, help me get there.
Absolutely.
Like, just don't talk to me all day long. Just
Absolutely.
show me how I can get there because I believe you.
Absolutely. Number one, I think our young people are paneled out. Okay. I think they're tired of just sitting and listening. I think I actually had the opportunity to speak to some students at Morgan State University a couple of weeks ago. Shout out Lolita Walker for the invitation. Those students, like you said, they're hungry. They're hungry. They really want to learn, and they really are looking for individuals to grab their hand and take them with us. And I think in the media and online, we paint this picture that because the younger generations, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, they don't necessarily learn like we do or absorb information like we do or work the way that we do, then we inherently call them lazy, which I think is wildly, not only is it not true, it's irresponsible to call them that. If you constantly hear that, what are you going to believe? So instead of us trying to get them to assimilate to our ideologies and practices, why don't we meet them where they are?
Yeah.
Because, eventually, if we need to pour into them, because they're going to be the ones who are going to be taking care of us.
Right.
Here in a minute.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are going to be taking over our government. They're the ones who are going to be making the decisions and being the change makers in the street. And they're the ones who are going to be raising our grandbabies, the future generation.
For sure.
So I think it's up to us now to say, okay, maybe from this point on, we need to be the ones to fill the gap and then bring you along with us. And through Haps House, we've actually created the program we call it Haps House Ready program. What we're doing is we're working with college students for this iteration in a fellowship program to give them those tangible skills, hands-on resources, hands-on experience to bring them to the space to where they're ready to step into the workforce, to move on post-grad in a healthy way, to maneuver as adults in this economy, in this environment. And they can do it. They just need a little bit of help.
Facts. Nah, I definitely agree. And I think it's like, okay, we knew that we needed to push.
Yeah.
Why can't we just sit there and be a push for somebody else? Like, that's what I'm sitting there saying. I'm like, okay, like, I know my younger self, I could have definitely benefited from like more programs and stuff like that. Yeah, it was out there, but I was just like, man, I just go school. All right, bet. Get my high school diploma. All right, go to school. I already know what I want to go to school for, but like, I knew what I wanted to go to school for, but it was just like that exposure piece. But now I'm realizing on the back end after that, it's like, even working, with youth and being in the community, it's like I'm always learning now, and it's like it's a plus because you always want to learn more and more about yourself and how like self-improvement is always on the menu, and it's like it's a big thing. So as we continue to grow and we continue to network, I think that networking and being intentional about it, I just really want better for the county. I looked at it like, all right, man. I'm in PG County. I'm a product of PG County.
Yeah.
I love PG County. I love the DMV. And I just want the best for the next generation.
I agree.
What gap can I fill? What problem can I solve?
Right.
And maximize it the best way that God wants me to really stretch it to a point where it's like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I see, grind hard, dream big. I see that. But it's like, nah, I want people to see like God and what he was able to do exceedingly and abundantly through the years from, the projects and everything, and being able to take kids, to Dave & Buster's yearly to provide book bags, things like that. Yeah. Like, that's a testament to it. But I just thought about it and I was like, man, how many kids haven't been to Dave & Buster's before? Or like, how many families are in need of book bags and things like that?
Yeah.
Like, that would be a dope community project. So it literally was an idea. Still biblical, obviously, always biblical when it comes to that. And it's just like writing the vision and making it plain. Like,
That's
I literally wrote it down and I'm like, this is what
right.
we're going to move off of. And successfully now we're in year 6 of doing this stuff.
Congratulations.
So it's like, now I'm just, I'm just sitting back like, I'm not in awe because like, it's like, no, God chose me. So move like he chose you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, move like he chose you.
I love how you said self-improvement is always on the menu.
It is.
I love that. And we really have to focus more, I think, on the evolution, right? Our work has evolved over the years because we put the work in as individuals first.
Yes.
We've evolved as individuals, as human beings. And that's really the basis of all of our work. And that's what's being lost, I think, in most spaces, specifically in the government. What happened to the human element of all of this? At the end of the day, whatever your color is, your credence, your education level, wherever you live, at the end of the day, we're all human beings.
Yeah.
That's what this is all supposed to be predicated on in the first place. Let's put the power struggles to the side. Let's stop talking about always, what religion says or what your tax bracket puts you in. At the end of the day, this is supposed to be about serving human beings first. If we start there and end there, I think everything in between would just make so much more sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think that humanity is a big thing, leaning with like the self-awareness, understanding the empathy, the sympathy, the compassion, and understanding that, we all need grace.
Yes.
Like we all need grace. Like we not all gonna have it, put together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you still gonna have to put pieces to the puzzle. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't focus on somebody else's puzzle that you ain't trying to work yours.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna sit there and say.
Ooh, I like
don't
that.
do that. Yeah,
Okay.
don't do that. Because I think what happens is we get caught up on everybody else's picture and we're like, dang, I don't even want to pay one for myself. Or I heard about that idea, you tried it, it worked for you, and maybe if I do it the same exact way. But it's like,
No.
all of us are beautifully, uniquely, and wonderfully made in God's canvas and God's masterpiece, because that's
Amen.
what he's called us to be. So it's just like embracing that and realizing like it's okay to be perfectly imperfect. You know what I mean? Like
I
he'll
love
sit
that.
there and do that, And I think as we continue to go through that, it's like, all right, we're here and we accept that. But I know also like within all of this work, self-care is a big thing.
Yes.
So we have to figure out like, what does self-care look like for us? And then like, how do we navigate the self-care? Because I'm pretty sure like being heavy in the community, you're going to get a call here, you get a call here, you get a call here. It's like, yo,
Yeah.
did you hear about this on the news? Hey, well, what you think about that? Hey, what you going to sit there and do? What you think about? I was like, it's a lot.
Yikes.
So self-care is definitely important, because guess what? We can't keep pouring from empty cups, and we got to make sure that we're showing up in the spaces, being our best selves. So
Right.
like, what does self-care look like for you?
I literally had this conversation earlier today. I think it's about balance, right? It ebbs and flows. Like you said, the work that we do is extremely demanding. Right before we started recording, I told my daughter, just turn my phone off. Just turn it off, please. Just turn it off. It can stay off till tomorrow. I'm tired. But I think it's that, right? It's knowing what your needs are. And I had to learn this the hard way. I've had some serious health challenges in the past, all stemming from stress. And that stress thing will kill you. Okay. So I think once you understand what your needs are, it's finding balance in that and then setting the boundary and holding yourself accountable to that. And I know for me, traveling is my favorite hobby. When I need a break, I'm out of here. I might tell just a few people, just my core family, but I'm out. That's my thing. Another thing for me is the gym. I'm in the gym at least 5 days a week. If I'm not, I'm struggling. So for me, it's a mind thing. It's a discipline thing. Like if I pour into myself first, usually it's 5:30 in the morning. If I get it in the morning first, okay, I took care of me first. Now I can take care of everybody else. But it's the mindset of not sacrificing self-care before taking care of everybody else. But it's making the conscious decision to say, okay, this is how I'm prioritizing me every single day. And particularly for the parents, and I'm looking back into the camera on this one because I'm really big on this, especially for my mamas. The kids don't come first. At least in my household, I love my babies with my entire being. They don't come first. I do. Because if I don't come first, how am I going to take care of everybody else? So I think it's really just doing a self-assessment. Like, what are my real needs? How many times a day do I need to eat? How often do I need a vacation? How many hours am I willing to work a week? How many hours am I willing to sacrifice sleep? And then based upon the needs assessment from there, you can kind of assess, okay, this is what self-care really looks like for me. But it has to be a priority for sure.
No, I definitely agree. I think that you ain't going to be able to take care of nobody else unless you take care of yourself.
That's right.
Putting yourself on D&D, like for me, I tell myself I have to, like, there's no way. Like I'll sit there, post my content, X, Y, and Z, try to scroll off of Instagram, like,
Yeah.
nah, boom. Or like taking walks, journaling, Running, I love that as well. Got to get the body
Nice.
moving, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And I just think that alone time, just spending it and just doing something for you, watching your favorite, if it's watching your favorite TV show, eating your favorite meal, things like that, like pouring it into your cup, because so many people will look for you to like pour into theirs, but it's like you don't want to keep showing up empty.
Yeah, I'm
You don't want to
thirsty.
be drained. Like, yo, I need to
Some water,
like, yeah. The last thing you want to do is be like, look, I'm hopping in the car, I'm on E.
Yeah.
I need to go to the gas station, put gas in my car.
Yeah.
Let me do that first before I put gas in yours.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have to.
And we hear that all the time, but I think it's easier in theory than it is in practice, especially when you're being pulled every which way. But I think that also lines back to, like you were talking about, is your purpose.
Yeah.
Because we get the phone calls to do everything. And it's like, actually, that's not something that I'm really trying to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's saying no to stuff.
Yes.
You got to say no. A good friend of mine, shout out Mickey Freeman. He told me, Kayla, you say yes way too much. He told me this last year. And I was like, you know what? You right. You right. Like certain things, if it's not in alignment with what I know I'm being called to do and what my mission is right now, I'm saying no. It's not answering the phone sometimes. It's telling people respectfully, no thank you, but I have another resource for you. So I think that comes with maturity in the work sense as well. You understand, okay, let me make sure that all of this is really aligning.
For sure. I mean, I tell, people all the time, from the kids to adults, is like, yo, what you say yes to, what you say no to can cost you your time, energy, and space.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's expensive.
Yes.
So no,
it
what
is.
you say is,
It's very expensive.
yeah, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and I think that you have to treat life as a bank. Like, make sure that you deposit and watch your withdrawals, because sometimes you can withdraw so much that you like, I've been waiting on the deposit. I don't even know when this deposit gonna come, but I've been withdrawing. It's like, what's going on here? But then it's like,
Yeah.
when somebody deposits into you, or you're able to deposit into yourself, you feel good.
Absolutely.
So just understanding that balance too.
Absolutely. One of the big things that has changed for me in the past few years is my circle. I prayed for my circle. My circle now, I was just thanking God the other day. I was like, these women, men and women that are around me right now are just incredible. High frequency, integrity filled, God-led individuals who are executing their purpose on a daily basis, and they're no nonsense individuals. People I can call anytime, people who show up for me, people who ask me what they can do to help execute the mission. Once you're aligned with your circle, to me, there's nothing I can't do. Between your individuals who you work with, you're building your team. My team is excellent. My assistant is amazing. I don't even know how I existed before her. So I think that's one of the big things, is just calling certain things as we need it. Okay, God, like, okay, we got this new thing you want me to do. Cool. All right, give me the people, give me the resources. But the individuals around me now, I think once you have that core, you can do anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's like saying yes to God to open up everything else. That's how I basically sit there and say, I'm like, all right,
I like
cool.
that too. Yeah.
Because it's like, all right, cool. Like, I ain't really know how it was going to look. I didn't really think. I'm like, I'm just podcasting. He's like, no, you're building.
Yeah.
Like, the people that you have on, the conversations that you have, your level of consistency, you'll see. And I can literally say the same exact thing. The people that are, in my life, the people that's been in my circle, like, there's a whole level of like grit. We're all keeping each other on fire. Like, yo, you said you was gonna get to that goal. Did you get to it? Yeah, I did. Thank you for double checking. Like, all of this stuff. So it's like being on go mode, and them literally like seeing it. Like, yo, I'm that person that's gonna sit there and hold you accountable. Hey, yo, you said you was gonna do this week.
Right.
Like, yo, it's the end of the week. We did that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You said that you was gonna, book this place to do this. All right, did we do that? Cool. You was gonna work on this content, or hey, you said you was gonna start doing this. Did we do that? I'm that accountability friend, and having that also around as well to learn. And then especially like my mentors, shout out to Kimberly Marshall. She helped me in the community space when I first started, and now I'm like a partner of hers. So it's like, she'll forever be a mentor to me. Backpack Jeff, who's a speaking mentor for me, my spiritual mentor, and Pastor Randy, and of course Pastor Keith Battle at Zion Church, and me being a member at Zion Church. It's like, it's so many people that have came and just sharpen the iron and sharpen the tools. And I think that circle is so important.
Yeah.
Because they got to keep you on point.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to one of my friends, and he was saying like, yeah, man, as life goes on, you just got to make sure that you stay intact. And I'm like, yeah, well, think of us driving a car on the road. Like, who's in our pit crew so important?
Yeah.
Know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, he was talking about NASCAR. I was like, yeah, I watch NASCAR every now and then. I know as far as like driving the car, like I definitely know what you're talking about. So like, who's in your pit crew so important? Who's going to be able to look in your rearview mirror and be like, yo, you may need to go to your left lane, your right lane, or your mirrors in front, or, changing your tire, or this, that, and the third. Everybody that's in your pit crew should be able to help you get to your destination.
I agree. Some like to call it a personal board of directors. And I'm fortunate enough to have an amazing board for my nonprofit who double as my personal board of directors. But we're all just kind of like-minded. Like you were saying, like iron sharpens iron. And if you want to be sharp, you better hang out with the sharp ones, okay?
Yeah. Definitely got to. And
sharpen each other together.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, I think as we continue to level up, every year is supposed to look different, and you're supposed to like grow in, the spiritual capacity, physical, finance, personal, social, emotional, like all of these layers. You should be able to grow in all those aspects.
Absolutely.
And be unapologetic about it. Like,
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. Bold and moving forward in everything that we do, at the same time, understanding the impact of the work and the seriousness of the work, but also, having fun along the way. We gotta have
definitely
a good time.
celebrate yourself. You got to celebrate yourself in the journey, because
Absolutely.
yes, work is going to be there. Work is definitely evident, but at the same time, taking that time out to celebrate yourself, because you are the most valuable person on this earth.
Absolutely.
You have to know that. You have to know that.
Come on, Jay.
You got to know that you're the most valuable person on this earth, regardless of whatever people say about you, whatever it is. Know what I mean? So I think that's definitely important. So what would be the motivation for, like people watching? Because I think the world that, is moving at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
We under leadership that a lot of people are like on the fence about, and all of these things. But how do we, what is the motivation to like stay grounded, keep going, or even dream? Like, what would you tell those people?
I really do believe that saying that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And when 45, 47 came back into office and everyone was losing it, and I was like, hold on, y'all. We've been doing this for generations. Our ancestors went through way worse. We're still here. We're still standing. We are a resilient people. And we're called to move forward. We'll make it into the promised land. All is not forsaken. All is not lost. And I think largely just telling yourself like, yo, I'm okay. Inherently, I'm okay. I may not have a whole lot of cash right now, or I may be unemployed, or, I might be, maybe down on my luck, as they say. But I think largely it's just understanding and telling yourself inherently, like, I'm going to be okay. That, I don't know if you saw that TikTok thing about saying like everything's working out for me.
Yeah.
We say that in my house all the time. I say that to myself all the time. Get off a rough meeting, in these cybersecurity meetings I'm in sometimes, a little bit rough. I say, okay, it's okay. Doing those breathing techniques and really just telling myself, bigging up myself, okay, this is what this is going to be. I'm a big manifester. I really call everything into existence. I don't believe that anything is impossible, but I really think like finding it within you to say, okay, I've made it thus far. I did not come this far to only come this far.
Yeah, facts. Nah, I definitely agree with that. I think that it's like, I would tell people no means not yet. Because I think sometimes we just get so impatient and we like, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
But, no means not yet. And I think that the wilderness doesn't last forever.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't. Like, it's more so like, yes, you may feel like that, but still prepare. because I would tell people that the harvest is on the way. It is. It's on the way, regardless if you can't see it right now.
Right.
It's, partly cloudy, and it's been partly cloudy for you for a long, long period of time. The sun is going to come out and the harvest is on the way. Just be prepared to receive it.
Amen.
Be prepared to receive it.
Amen.
And when you receive it, continue to steward and realize, okay, this harvest may not only be for me, but it also may be for my neighbor too, or somebody else I can also help. Because the work that we do in serving, it's a selfless thing. So don't be selfish, be selfless.
Bible says, do not grow weary in well-doing. I truly believe that if you operate in integrity, then good things will inherently happen to you. Only good things.
Yes. All of the things and all of the good things. And that's what I'm saying. Only God can do the exceedingly and abundantly. But once you have that belief and you step out on faith to see that and witness all of those things, then you see it in its fruition. So, for all the youth out there, continue to, be educated, be your best self. Realize your best self and your goals, your success is self-defined. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not successful. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not smarter. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not intelligent, because you were and you are and you're becoming the best version of yourself. It's a process.
Yes.
Keep working on yourself.
Absolutely.
Keep working on yourself.
We're always striving. Every day we strive.
Every single day. So just put one foot in front of the other and just keep going. And, don't be afraid to ask questions. One thing I would definitely encourage a lot of young people out there, don't be afraid to ask questions, because sometimes you could be, like myself back then, just too cool not to ask a question. Now all of a sudden, like, I got questions. I'm going to ask because I'm a natural learner.
Right.
That's why I'm going to ask the questions. But outside of that, don't be afraid to learn. And like I said, people ask you what, people ask you who, when, where, but as long as you know your why, you're going to be good.
Right. I think it's, once you really tap into self, there's different ways you can do that. I know for me, it's writing things down, like you said, but I do a lot of mirror work, and it's hard, to really look yourself in the mirror sometimes and ask yourself the hard questions, or holding yourself accountable to certain things. Like, yo, you said you were going to do X by Y date and include Z. And like you said, you're the one who holds people accountable. And he does, because Jay will call you, be like, yo, what's up?
Yeah, for sure.
He's not going to send a text. He's going to call you.
Yeah, I will call.
He will call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, text message is cool, but I'm like, nah, let me call.
What's going on?
Yeah, let me get the vibe check. What's up? Yeah.
What you doing?
Yeah.
But once you kind of tap into yourself, like you said, the rest is up from there.
Yeah, for sure. So how can people support what you have going on? I think that for one, a trailblazer in the community, I definitely would say that you are, because you've been doing it for a while, a long time, and it is scaled at a high volume. I feel like it's so many things that you are doing, mother, leader, advocacy, like an advocate, being, educating those that want to just be informed, regardless of where you're at. How can people support what you have going on? Because I think that advocacy and people looking like us and that representation is so important. So how can people follow, and what do you have coming up that you would definitely want people to, definitely be a part of and, stretch the mission?
Sure. So we're launching a few new initiatives through Hap's House. One is our wellness webinars, some monthly wellness discussion led by my brother, Gregory Charles Evans. He has his own therapy practice. He's leading these discussions on a monthly basis. We're going to do it asynchronous. First one's online, but we're doing it hybrid style as well. So we can have these family-centered conversations in a safe space fostered by a professional, because he is a licensed therapist. So that's something that we're doing. All of our events are on all of our socials. Everything's on the website, HapshouseOrg. We're also hosting a big Mother's Day event coming up to celebrate the mothers is called Rooted in Love, where we're coming together in an intimate, intentional setting surrounding flower bouquets and just celebrating mothers for inherently who they are and how they pour into us as a community. We're working on our Father's Day event that's going to be in the city of Bowie. So we're really excited about that. But of course, the work is powered by dollars. So tapping in that way on our website, HapsHouse.org again. But also it's lending your expertise. Like we have the Haps House Ready program that Jay's going to be a part of, where we're really pouring into the youth. And I really believe that our highest currency of value is our time. Yes. And that's really what our young people need. That's what our seniors need, is just us to tap in with them. And honestly, that is my favorite part about what I do. Like, I love us for real. Like I told my neighbor this the other day, I love my people. I really do. So there's ever an opportunity for you to just lend your expertise, lend your time to speak or to help with our community service initiatives, or if you have a resource or a corporation you work with that is aligned with our mission for building community through family first, tap in, send an email, join our listserv. Everything is online. We're everywhere. We're doing all the things.
For sure, doing all of the things. And like I said, I've always, you in the community, I'm in the community too. Let's work together.
Yeah,
let's go ahead and do that. So that's my biggest thing. And like I said, that's how I always feel like that's how we could definitely support bringing the awareness and letting people know about positive vibes and change makers and people that are doing tremendous things in the community. So you definitely have my support. Definitely will let people know about what's going on. And the best ability, y'all, is availability. Okay. So make sure that you make yourself available to some of these initiatives and things like that, because you never know. Maybe, people are like, hey, you know what? I want to share my story. And, for the people that, want to share their story, just know that God has already qualified you to share your story, regardless of how you wanted to narrow it already. Like, oh, I feel like I got to do this. Share it now. Share it. Because guess what? You don't even know who needed to hear it, who you're aligned to, who the ministry is, or who are the people. You don't know unless you share. So, yeah, vulnerability, but availability is the best ability. You know what I mean? Your best ability is availability. So make sure that you do that, y'all. So you already know, y'all, like, I appreciate this conversation. This conversation
Likewise.
Was great. Yes, if you want to be active in the community, go ahead and do that. Make sure that y'all like, comment, subscribe, all of the things. You can't grind hard if you don't dream big. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. And we out. Appreciate y'all.
Soundstripe.